PAWSsion Project started October 2018 because 50 dogs were on death row, scheduled to be killed by gunshot at the Bacolod City Pound. I really grew up as a dog lover, not really an animal advocate for that matter. But then one time I was tagged on a Facebook post about these dogs on death row. So just like everyone else, I shared the post too. But I didn't really do much about it because of course, where am I gonna put the 50 dogs? So the owner of this farm is our family friend, Manang Jen Coscaluela. We were supposed to put up an Airbnb business here. When she saw the post, she also called me and then she asked me, she said like, Mas, there are dogs on death row at the Bacolod City Pound. Since we don't have any concrete plans yet, do you want to get them? We have more than enough space for the dogs. So that's basically how it all started. Just, because of one single Facebook post of dogs on death row, and then me having zero experience of how a pound is being run. I had zero experience of how a rescue operation is being done. But I don't know, I've always felt like it was a God-given mission, and all I had to do was just to say yes to it. The shelter right now, the one that you see, is not like how it is right now. So this is an abandoned place. Even the stairs that you use going up here, you wouldn't see it before. So I went here Saturday, I had the place cleaned up, and then we were able to put up the first kennel. Monday, we went to the pound. And then when I went to the pound, it was very traumatizing. It was my first time to go there, and I was standing next to the mass grave where the dogs were supposed to be buried. And then you would hear the dogs crying and yelping. You'd see the dogs cramped in cells. Again, there were 50 of them, and then the cell was just 2.2 by 3 meters big, small actually. And then I realized, if we get this batch of dogs, what difference would it make? The next week there will be another batch of dogs. So that's when I thought, this cannot be the end of it. I really have to, I have to put up something, or I have to start an organization. So that's how PAWSsion Project started, and it's a passion project. But this one is dedicated to our furry friends with paws. That's why it's PAWSsion Project. We can go on and on about the challenges of this advocacy. Number one, of course, is, like I mentioned earlier, people here view aspens and the stray animals as dirty creatures. So many people would throw hot water on puspins, or they would kick or hurt stray dogs because they think that they're dangerous. Yes, rabies is real. If we give all the stray animals rabies vaccine, then they're gonna be protected from the rabies virus. So I think that's the number one challenge, really. It's so hard for us to, make people understand that you can actually adopt a stray animal. And second would be low in manpower. Again, PAWSsion Project is a very, very small group. People think that we're a big group just because probably we've been going places already, even if PAWSsion is Bacolod-based. Very, very small group with committed volunteers. So manpower is very difficult. Imagine 13 million strays. So many people trying to message us, rescue this dog or get the dogs from this pound. Sometimes I feel like I'm PCSO already. I get messages from pet owners, I need help, my dog has distemper, or my dog is sick, I need help with the vet bill. But we're not a bank. But it's heartbreaking, of course. If you don't have money, you still try to do something to help them because it's heartbreaking to see photos and videos of their dogs dying. Third is, of course, we lack resources. PAWSsion Project has 2 shelters, and we're very grateful to God for that blessing. But we're just renting out the space, so that's additional cost already. We also have caretakers to employ, and then we have 400 rescues right now, so imagine how much that would cost to feed them every day. Every stray or every rescue that we get is not healthy. Many of them have underlying health conditions. Imagine what we go through, financial wise, trying to, medicate and rehabilitate all these dogs na You know, they have everything. I mean, every disease that you can think of. They have Ehrlichia, heartworm. I mean, they may look healthy, but when you run the blood test, they have a lot of sicknesses. I personally really want to thank, you know, the team of Falcor and TopBreed, because again, you know, Sir Richmond and his team, really, they were the first people to reach out to me when I started PAWSsion Project. They sent boxes of medicines for us when during that time I didn't have any idea like what medicines the rescue dogs really needed. And then they sent also bags of dog food, and then every time I would buy at Falcor, I would always get a freebie. And then during the time that I was feeding stray animals, and we were also employing other stray feeders in Bacolod, Falcor would give us free dog food to share to the stray animals and the rescue dogs. So it really means so much to us that, you know, there are companies who don't just care about the money, but, you know, companies who also really genuinely support advocacies that we have that is also in line with their mission. Of course, we also get attacked by people who are anti-strays, or, you know, we get a resistance from the city health. We understand that it's the city health responsibility to lower down the rabies cases, or, you know, it backfires to them if there are people being bitten by dogs with rabies. People say there needs to be a law for the animals. We already have a law, it's just that it's not properly implemented. So that's just some of the major struggles that we have as an organization. PAWSsion Project, of course, we're grateful that in 2 years' time, we were able to get a good reach of followers. You know, even celebrities and influencers have been following us also. And I cannot emphasize enough how advocating for these animals matter. You know, it costs 0 pesos to share a post. So, but we have to be very honest. Since the beginning, you know, the donations have never been enough to cover the needs of the shelters. Most shelters in the Philippines really would entail the founders or the shelter owners to shell out personal money. Because again, you know, most especially the shelter in Bulacan, we have around 200 rescues there. So most often, you know, an operational cost of one shelter would reach around 200,000 pesos. That does not even include the vet bills. So there are only a few people who donate to our advocacy, and we're very grateful to them. But yeah, we also have sponsorship programs. So people who want to help dogs but cannot adopt one can choose to sponsor a dog. So our sponsorship program is 1,000 pesos per rescue. It helps us sustain the needs of the rescues and the shelter. But as of the moment, I think we have just around 30 out of the 400 rescues sponsored. In Manila, I'm just very grateful because I think most of the head offices are there, so it's easy to tap like suppliers. So all of their near expiry dog food, they would send it to the shelter, and there's no problem with that. They can easily consume that in days. But here in Bacolod, that's our struggle because we're here in the province. So sometimes there are also people who want to send like a lot of bags of dog food, but the logistics, it's hard, most especially now that we're in the middle of a pandemic. The ultimate mission of PAWSsion Project really is to create a kinder environment for the animals. Since the beginning, I have always acknowledged that rescuing is not the solution and it will never ever solve the problem. Again, 13 million strays. We hope that we get to the day that, you know, the government already does their part. So the goal really is for us to reach that day that people can understand that the stray animals can coexist with us. We just have to spay and neuter them so we control the population. We just have to vaccinate the dogs, and, you know, probably we can have a census of the dogs, and then probably require everybody to make, pet registration or microchipping mandatory, so we get to have like the number of owned pets and stray animals so that we can have a grasp of the problem and how we can really address it. So that's the mission of PAWSsion Project, like, influence people to think the same way as we do, and even if you don't like dogs or stray cats, you just make them understand that they're not gonna hurt you if you don't hurt them. And you're not gonna get rabies virus if our stray animals are vaccinated by the rabies vaccine. So that's the mission, because again, we can never really adopt them all. We can never really rehome all of them. We just aim for a kinder environment and a kinder community for the animals. the most rewarding of it all is really just seeing all these dogs alive. I mean, at the end of the day, when you think of it, they all should have been dead by now. They all should have been killed by gunshot already in the pound. You know, majority of the dogs here that you see, like probably 98% of them are from the pound on death row. Only a few were rescued like from the street or individual reports. Most of them are really from the pound. Another thing that would be very rewarding about this advocacy is having to inspire more people to choose kindness also. You know, when the pandemic started, when we were all placed on lockdown, we started the stray feeding program. So I started feeding some of the strays in Lacson Street. As you would see, you know, the dogs in the kubo there, I got them from Lacson Street, so they're the OGs. And through the stray feeding program, if you would check the Facebook page of PAWSsion Project, so many other people have been feeding strays in their areas as well. One of the followers of PAWSsion Project commented, and then she said that, you know, she used to be a breeder of pugs, but because of her advocacy, she was inspired and then she stopped breeding. And now she has 8 dogs, and many of them are rescued aspens already. So, you know, we're not really anti-breeder. I have been attacked several times before by breeders because they feel like, you know, I'm taking their business out from them. But if you realize, the more that we breed animals, the more chances that you take away from these animals to be adopted. So why don't we focus on rehoming our strays first before we breed other animals? This advocacy is very exhausting in all levels. It's exhausting emotionally, physically, financially. But having to get messages from people that, you know, they've been inspired with what we do, that's the most inspiring about, you know, this advocacy. In this world where we can be anything, let us always choose to be kind. You know, everything begins with kindness. And kindness really is, you know, having to understand that there are also other people and animals who struggle. So, you know, if you have the time, the resources, you have the capacity to help these animals, please do so, because we are able to continue our mission because of your help. If only we have, you know, enough resources, enough manpower, we have enough supply of dog food and cat food for the rescues, we will definitely take more. The only reason why we control the rescues that we take in is because we don't want to compromise the quality of life that we give them. Be a part of this advocacy and be a part of this mission. Put your compassion into action by donating, by adopting, fostering, volunteering. Then together we can really make a big change. And, you know, lobby for these voiceless animals if you can. If you're relatives with, you know, any government official, we really need their help because we cannot do this alone. These animals are worth everything. They're the most grateful creatures. They're really worth all of it all. I assure you, you'd be thankful that you decided to make a change in the life of one animal. To those who wish to volunteer for PAWSsion Project, you know, I always say PAWSsion Project is open to everyone. People can visit the website. It's pawssionproject.ph. All of the different ways to help the organization is there. So we have the profiles of the dogs for adoption on the website. Not everyone is there yet, but again, people can freely just fill out the form and then the team can contact them and interview them. Of course, the goal is to rehome them to responsible pet owners. You know, we didn't exert so much effort. We didn't spend so much money on these animals just to rehome them to irresponsible pet owners. Again, people can also sponsor a dog if they cannot adopt one to help sustain the needs of the rescue dogs. And people can volunteer freely here at the shelter. One of my biggest frustrations here in Bacolod is that we get little to no visitors here at the shelter. And you know, we look at all these dogs. Even if you don't bring anything here, just come here and spend time with the dogs and it already means so much to them. And it's really a big part of the rehabilitation. Many of these dogs have gone through so much trauma. Many of them have been caught in a really, really awful way. But look at them. I mean, they're so welcoming to the people who go here. So if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the money to donate to PAWSsion Project, your time is very, very valuable for these rescued animals. So you can volunteer, help bathe the dogs. You know, we have so many rescues here, but we have low manpower. So it's just so hard for us to bathe all of them all together. Influencers also are such a big help that they help share the advocacy. So their followers are now aware of the reality of stray animals. And Advocating. I can never emphasize enough. Again, PAWSsion Project started just because someone posted about the dogs on Facebook. So if that person then posts about these dogs, it probably would never have been, PAWSsion Project in the first place. Our tagline in PAWSsion is adopt. If you can't adopt, then foster. If you can't foster, then you can donate. If you can't donate, then you can volunteer. And still, if you can't volunteer, they can always advocate. Everyone can just share posts anywhere, any time of the day. So there is always something that we can do. I would always say it, we do not represent PAWSsion Project. We represent these voiceless animals who can never speak up for themselves. So everyone's just welcome.